Welcome to Old Guys Still Rock. Super grateful you gave us a look or a listen. We specifically developed this podcast for friends, or soon-to-be friends, who are in the 40-plus category. This podcast is a platform to not only have your voices be heard, but also for others who are going through the same thing and know that they too aren't alone. Our topics may be business, topics may be entrepreneurship, our topics may be social, or our topics may be just everyday life. Whatever it is, we hope that you give it a share and leave us a comment. But most of all, if you want your voice to be heard, please leave us a comment on how to get a hold of you so you too can be an old guy that still rocks and help build our community. Until we speak again, stay safe, but most of all, God bless. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome back. That you have reached Old Guys Still Rock. I believe we're on episode number 58 today. 58. That's incredible to me. When it's all said and done, it's incredible.
Consistency, buddy. Consistency.
I know. We like the next one is like, oh my gosh, we hit 60. As you noticed, the last couple of weeks, I have been in a different spot. Team Armstrong is transitioning over to a new space, which is actually a beautiful space. One day we'll be able to get out and show you all this and turn it around where it shows. But we have located our office from Indian Wells over into Ironwood Country Club at their sales office. So we're super excited about that. That's actually kind of where this all, Team Armstrong just started in 2019. We ventured off into an office space over in Indian Wells, and we're invited back, and we're very excited for this new chapter in our lives. So we'll do that. But with that being said, we'll kind of get more on that later, because that's what I just said. We'll kind of spill into what we're talking about today. But on my right, your left, wherever we may be, we always have my good friend for almost 30 years and co-host of this show, Brent Wright of Brent Wright Incorporated, owner of multiple businesses from body shops to detail shops to wellness centers to property management to IT. The list goes on, payroll companies. And he is, I wouldn't say that he's a master of all, but he is in significant, great leadership in all of those businesses. So it's been quite a great venture. And as I said to you a couple months ago, well, gosh, almost over a year ago, we started this venture as a podcast. Yeah. But before we even go further on that, we have a special guest, which we've talked about multiple times in this podcast. We have Lincoln Wright of Lincoln Wright Incorporated. Yes, I've said that because sooner or later he's going to come up with something of mass magnitude. This guy is the savant of many different things. We've talked about him from running a cat to dump trucks to herding cows to getting eggs, running the house when Brent's not around. So welcome, Lincoln. How are you doing, bud?
Good.
Yeah? So tell me again, I know we talked a little bit off camera before we started here. What did you have for breakfast this morning?
A smoothie.
And what was in that smoothie?
Strawberries, blueberries, and pineapple.
Yeah. And what else was in there?
I don't think there was anything else.
Protein powder?
Oh yeah, protein powder.
Protein powder.
Flavorless protein powder.
So I know it's just still early in the morning, but let's maybe talk about yesterday. What was your favorite thing that you did yesterday?
Played with our cousins in the water slide that we set up.
That's cool. So what's on the big agenda today? What are you going to do today besides play with your cousins?
I don't really know yet.
Help Dad in the office?
Yeah.
Draw pictures?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Paint some cars?
Yeah.
We're going to deliver some hot rods today. You get to ride in some hot rods with Daddo.
Cool.
So kind of a special moment for you, Brent. I mean, obviously we've done this podcast, obviously 57 episodes, 58 episodes today. We've talked about Lincoln many of times.
Yeah.
He gets to be here with you today. Feelings on this?
Best part of my day.
Yeah.
Yeah, feeling very, very emotional, feeling very blessed, very happy. Yeah, these kids are my life. I picked them. I chose them. God delivered them. And I'm grateful for them every single day. Right, buddy?
What are some of the things you do? And I know a lot of dads out there that are watching this or guys are bringing up their kids right now. If there was one thing today that I asked you about, and I know this, guys, just for we're pretty much unscripted. We talked about a couple things on here, but if there is one thing that sticks out in your mind today, what are you hoping to pass along through Lincoln, not only this year, but the coming years as he continues to grow?
I actually have a list that I created, and it's on his wall of 21 things that I am trying to pass along to him every day. And from time to time, we look at them and we read them. And now that he can read, it's super cool because he probably reads them on his own. He doesn't tell me, but I guarantee he reads them on his own.
Yeah.
And he asked me questions about them, and it's super cool. But it's things like always shake somebody's hand standing up, never sitting down. Always do the thing you want to do before the end of the day, because you never know if you're going to have another day, right? So part of it's just a lot of things that I've learned over the years that I put on a board. It's a 3x5 board, and it's super cool. I had Jeff Harris Design, build it for me, and it's up on his wall, and it's been up on his wall since he was probably 6 months old. And it's all the things that I want to pass along. So one day when I'm not here, he has the ability to read it.
Yeah.
And
do you feel? I mean, obviously you're around him every day. It's an obvious statement there. Have you seen how that's absorbed? Maybe, I mean, obviously you read it to him for many years. Now he can read, as you just said. Do you see those things like this take him out of that element that's in his room right now? Does his mannerisms? Have you seen how that's been absorbed? Does mannerisms show that? Does his personality show that? Does his, does his culture show that?
Yeah, 100%. He's a natural born leader. He's a leader in his class. He's a leader in his school. He wants to make sure everybody's happy. He wants to make sure everybody feels good. He's just a good, solid, caring heart. He wears his shirt on his sleeve like his old man. Yeah. So
Lincoln, knowing that your dad, so we're talking about this list in your room. Is there one that you really like out of all the 21? And I know this might be a hard question, but I know that you're super smart. So I'm going to ask you this. Is there one of those that sticks out in your mind that you like reading the most?
I don't know all of them yet because I haven't read them all yet, but probably like I think there is Shake a Man's Hand when you meet them or something.
Okay, that's a good one. What do you think about people that don't return their shopping carts?
I kind of don't like it because then we have to pick it up and then yeah.
Does it drive you crazy?
Kind of.
Yeah, it drives me crazy too. It's your dad and I's pet peeve.
Yeah. Why do we pick them up and bring them back, buddy?
Because if nobody else does, then they'll stay out there in the rain and stuff, and homeless people might steal them.
Yeah.
Who's it going to be if it isn't us, right?
Yeah.
Pretty cool, man. I'm just sitting there looking at this, and there's a thing that you can push on your computer, like when we're doing what these podcasts. You can mirror your screen, which kind of did right now, and kind of flips me around with the light in the right way. But here we are looking at a live version of a mirror, right?
Yeah.
Brent is a part. It's obviously April is a massive part of this too, is bringing Lincoln into life. And it's all God's hands that created this, is bringing you and April together, to commencing together and creating this child that obviously with the name of Lincoln. And here he is an image of not only you, but an image of also April. And there's just different nuances that you can see. And I think that's one of the beautiful parts. My kids, my son's older now, 33 years old, and we have six grandkids from 15
Mm.
to just going to be 2 in a couple months. So anyway,
Wow.
it's kind of cool to see that. Now you're mirroring this image, and you look at them once in a while, like you could almost regress in time by looking at your kid's face, which I always find interesting. It's like, God, I remember, I can see them and how I was acting or how I looked and certain things. So it's having kids is a very cool gift, and making up for the mistakes or the hurdles that we've had in life, and how that you can eliminate those as much as possible. Can't eliminate them all, but eliminating hurdles that you had in your life to try to eliminate those for your kids. So
yeah, so the best part about that you brought up is that it is a mirror, but it's a mirror, and I be willing to bet that April would agree with this, but it is a mirror of the best part of us.
yeah.
And also it's mirroring the things that we wanted for ourselves or wanted to create for ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus what we are. We are every day present in the fact that we want to make a change in our bloodline, and it's happening right here.
Right. It goes back to what we've talked about so many times. We already know, are you going to be the one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there were some things, and you were the one to a certain extent, and to your family and the way that you were brought up. And now it's time for Lincoln to be that one, and then whatever that part of his, whatever his lane is for your family, is to be that one.
Yeah.
And instill those things in him. So I just think that's really cool that Lincoln gets to have 21. You said 21, and I go right back to John Maxwell, 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, right? In so many different ways, is even though John Maxwell has his list of 21, Lincoln now has his 21 laws of irrefutable leadership to help him succeed. And as he grows, and, leaders are, some leaders are born, as John Maxwell says, but, most leaders are created and free will. So this is,
I think we got a little bit of both here.
Yeah.
You ready to go play with cousins, buddy?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
I love you.
Love you.
Lincoln, I appreciate you, brother. Have a great day.
All right. See ya.
See ya, buddy.
You can leave your bag here. You can go play. All right. Shut the door.
Go play with that paint machine.
Yeah, exactly.
So what a cool moment, guys. I mean, I just absolutely love this, the way that started out to it. Obviously, this was not planned. We had to make some halftime adjustments, I guess you say, for this morning, not only for me. We're leaving on vacation tomorrow. We're kind of a staycation, but a vacation. And so we really switched our days up from Thursday to Wednesday. Lincoln comes in today, has some special moments, some special words for all of us today. But really get into the nuts and bolts of what we're going to talk about is every day we start with a full tank, or we hopefully full tank, and are you emptying it? And, talking with you a little bit is weather's hot. It's drains that take a little bit more. We have, stuff going on with kids that drains that take a little more. We've got business, employees, finances, life, marriage. And at the end of the day is, okay, my tank is empty, but how am I refueling it, right? And I think for me, what I just saw there, I'm going to take that out of context. Here you have is your one of your pride and joys. Obviously, your daughter's a big part of this, if not taken away. So with your wife, but you get have this special moment for about 3 or 4 minutes with Lincoln on our podcast. Anything you want to put into that?
They do fill my cup every day. So the reason I brought this up to you is, are we emptying our tank? Are you leaving it all on the field? As a football analogy. I'm horrible at sports, guys. I'll tell you that. I'm just, it's not my bag of apples, but I know that analogy, from watching football and from watching coaching and stuff like that, coaching calls. are you leaving it all on the field? Are you giving everything you got every single day to make a difference? Or are you just checking the boxes? Right. And so I have to, for many reasons, one of which was here, leave it all on the field every day. And I have to make sure that I'm giving everything. Like, he's not cognizant of the fact that I'm tired. He's not cognizant of the fact that I had a hard day, or I had this or I that or the next thing, pick something, right? All he cares about is that I've provided a safe and caring environment for him to be, grow up in, a safe place for him to lay his head and sleep, and all the things he needs: food, shelter, clothing, all of that stuff. Create basic needs, and he'll give you unconditional love.
Yeah.
And it really fills my tank every day. When we do everything in our house. We've talked about this before on the podcast. We do everything we can, and then we do one more for Jesus.
Right.
And I would tell you that before that one more for Jesus, I do everything I can, and then I do one for my wife. I do one for my kids, each of them, and then I do one for Jesus.
Yeah.
And it's there's not a lot left at the end of the day.
No.
Long time ago, when April and I first got together, she made it really apparent to me, and she said this specifically: why does everybody else get the best of you all day long and we get the last when you get home? And that changed my mindset.
Yeah.
Huge. So if I'm giving 100% at the office, I need to give 100% at home, and they don't need to know that I have no tank left when I get home.
Yeah.
So in everything that you do, in every situation, we've talked about this before. Daytime Brent and nighttime Brent.
Yeah.
Daytime Brent has to give 100% plus one more, and nighttime Brent has to give 100% plus one more. And I have to leave it all on every field that I interact with every day. Right. Could you imagine, from a sports analogy, playing, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 full court press football games or basketball games every single day?
Right.
That's the life of an entrepreneur, people.
Right. Right.
There's an Instagram post that was going around a while back that says, being an entrepreneur is like drinking a Red Bull to relax.
Truth.
And so we talked about it before as well, about being everything for everyone. That was one of our subjects. Are you being everything for everyone? And all these things are kind of tying in, right? So, are you emptying your tank? Filling your tank's great. Right. But are you emptying it, and are you giving everything to every piece of your life that you have, and every interaction that you have?
Yeah, I think that's a big deal. I'm glad that you brought that up about what April said, and my wife has said that as well. I'm sure that many of us have watched that spouses are somewhere like, well, you're always on and you're at work and you come home and you check out. And, I will say this, and I'm still learning this process so far from it. I'm glad that you brought it up, but I'm spent mentally. And again, I'm just sharing experiences with you. I'm not the only one that's spent mentally at the end of the day. But mentally, just because there's so much talking and cultivating relationships, that's what we do in business, right? We're constantly cultivating relationships. Yep. Even at the start of them, if you could have a start of a cultivation, or you could be at the middle of it and want to continue this for the next couple of years with your clients, so they constantly remind you. And you're so mentally exhausted on top of employees, right? Motivating them, giving them tools, certain things like this. And you go home to this place that's your safe spot. Mm-hmm. It's your little vault that I get to be in, and I can kind of decompress. But you've got to remember that, as you said, I've got to give one more, right? Yeah. And it seems like we keep bringing this up, and Ed Milet talks about this for a lot, but it's that one more. Can I just take one more step? Can I go one more mile? Can I just do one more conversation? And it's hard when you get in, you walk over that threshold of your house, and you just like, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my kids love me, and I know that, and I love them, and they know that, and my wife knows that, and all, blah 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 blah. So everyone's going to understand that I'm just going to shut it down. But they still need you, right?
Yeah.
And so those are the days that make it hard, because sometimes we walk in that threshold and we got a half a tank or three-quarters of a tank left over. But there's other times too that uh, we have a 16th of a tank, and
Or less.
and we're 3 miles, and we have a 16th of a tank, and we're 20 miles away from the gas station.
Yep. 100%.
And so you got to burn that fuel out to it, and then keeping your emotions in check, which is a big thing too. So
I got a huge compliment. One of our listeners, Tommy Hill, he's one of my tenants. I got a huge compliment from him today. He goes, "Man, brother, you're always so patient and articulate, and you keep your emotions in check." And I'm like, I needed that today, because I this has been a struggle for me for a long time.
right,
You know, it's been a struggle. And so to get a compliment from somebody has been huge. I told him that I posted this today. I'm going to look this up. If the only tool you have is a hammer, you tend to see every problem as a nail. And I told him that. I said that I posted that from that specific thought process of, you know, everything that I'm doing is lately has been just a struggle. You know, the universe, God, etc., has been conspiring to make everything a lesson.
mm-hmm.
So I had to reframe that, because in my mind, the first thing I thought about was everything's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I told Tommy, I said, what Ed Milet says all the time is it happens to me or for me and not to me.
Yeah.
You know, and so you're right. You get home, and even if you have less than a 16th in the tank, you need to present like you're full all the time, and you need to keep your emotions in check like you're full all the time. But then when you lay your head down on the pillow, you need to know in your heart of hearts that you gave everything you had to everyone that you interacted with the whole day.
Yeah.
Like they were the only ones.
And that can change over time too. But also say, there's also going to be days. Let's be real. There's also going to be days like it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's days you're going to lose it, and there's days you're going to make adjustments. There's days that you're going to have a flat tire. There's the days that the transmission falls out. All that stuff, right? So we'll use a car analogy for you, brother.
Yeah.
You're in that world. Instead of having sports analogies for me, we'll use cars analogies for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's it. It happens. I also think, okay, it happened. So what happens when the transmission falls out, right? You go back to the mechanic and you have that repaired, and you get back up on the road. But if your transmission does fall out, or you have a flat tire and you have all those replaced, you've got to go back to that last point of contact and make sure that everything is, if your transmission did fall out, did you pick up the broken pieces from the road? So the next time you go over that piece,
you don't get a flat tire.
You don't get a flat tire on there, right?
Right. Or better yet,
we're using the analogy of family, friends, clients, business partners, employees. So that transmission falling out, realistically, the broken parts of the stuff that's left behind you when you do mess up, and you have a moment that you really wish that you could take back. And things can always be repaired, but you have to go back and repair them.
Better yet, how many people, because of that situation, did you get the opportunity to interact with and maybe make their day or their life better?
Yeah.
Because of that, right? Instead of having the attitude of woe is me that you have, that you had something broke on your car or whatever it was that sent you into that situation. How about be thankful that you got to interact with those people that were helping you fix your car? Maybe you changed their life that day,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe you changed their life for not the best. It's a choice that you had to make.
Yeah. And that's a big thing too. I mean, we could go back. I mean, Paul from the Bible has really stepped in my mind. For as much as he got persecuted, I mean, he still got up every day and he was broken. And I'm sure in the Bible it makes that he kept pursuing, kept pursuing, kept pursuing.
Yeah.
And regardless of the roadblocks he has, and yes, there were broken pieces, he was broken, but he kept pursuing. And what that was, basically, going back to what you just said, is then he became a light for others, that when there's trials and tribulations, that can still proceed forward on that, right?
Yeah. I used to have this thing up on my wall. I got a lot of stuff up on my wall, a lot of positive quotes, core values, things like that. But I used to have up on my wall, if you're having a bad day, read Job.
Yeah, yeah, for
Right?
sure.
I mean, yeah, that was an interesting read. I mean, I didn't feel bad after that. You know, I read Job when I was homeless, and I
Yeah,
was like,
okay,
man, I feel good.
right.
I feel blessed right now. I
Yeah.
mean,
And we go back to, I mean, we always talked about this, the FMLs in our lives and stuff, because it's just, we just talked about this last night. I've been on this dinner crusade since Friday, man. I am talking about having an empty tank. I am like, okay, I got clients at 5 o'clock tonight, but we had dinner Friday night, had dinner with the boys on Saturday, in-laws on Sunday, friends, clients on Monday, friends last night, and it's a lot, right? So we just talked about this. I have no idea where I was. I should have just started talking on there. But I just think that you sit there and you give it, and like, I just don't have enough. But then, now that you brought this up, I go back to, like, okay, the people I had dinner with Friday night, such an one of the ladies we have with, she's become a friend, but she's been a member here for 40 years. You kind of see behind me, this is
mhm,
Ironwood right here. Ironwood's been around for 50 plus years.
yeah,
And the stories that she has and how her husband helped create Newport and stuff like that, and just integral. And Chrissy was sick. She constantly reached out to us. So, like, okay, you can't be tired for this person. You've got to pony up and you've got to get out there and spend some time with them, because she's kind of by herself now, right? She's she's a little bit more seasoned in life. And so these Friday night dinners mean a lot to her, because there's interaction that she's not normally getting. And a lot of her friends have gone and seen Jesus. Saturday night, used to hang out with these guys a bunch. Life has just been busy. Guys are here, this, and this. So we got a group together to have that caught up for about an hour and a half.
mhm,
Okay, could have blown it off 1,000 different ways, right? Uh, Sunday night, see her in-laws a lot, but it's in this time that they need that refuel, because they got so much going on in their life with the different. So the list goes on and on and on. So just because they're close to you, and I'm learning this. So this is, remember, we call this is typically therapy Thursdays, but even though we're on Wednesday today, but what you figure out is, like, okay, it was one more, it was a lot. As soon as I get home, kiss my wife goodnight, I am stripping and ripping and going to bed as soon as that night's over, because it's like I given everything that I can that day to do it, and I wanted everything in the night to. There's times that I pray that there's a cancellation,
mhm,
but when it does happen, I'm like so glad it happened. Like last night was a big one. We haven't seen our friends for pretty darn close to a year,
mm,
and they're like, we can't do this anymore. They're literally 20 minutes away, and we act like they're in New York. And so it's just, but anyway, so those are one of the things that you had some life instances, with family a couple months ago, and
yeah,
a lot of it's being talked about is don't take it for granted that we're going to get tomorrow. I mean, we do have, for those of us who believe in God, and we know that we do have eternal, but there's still a lot left to be done, and we can't take that for granted. Like, I'll get it tomorrow. I'll get it tomorrow. So, yeah, first of all, I think that we should say, which everyone knows, take care of your health.
yeah,
eat well, get as much sleep as possible. There's going to be points in life that it's just not going to happen. It could be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It could be a month, 2 months that you're just going to be completely drained. You know, it was right now, I think you said to me, and I'll share this with you, that you're getting about 4 hours of sleep, you know,
Yeah.
and it's not good.
Yep. I feel like taking my Aura ring off and just like leaving it off so I don't have to see the number, right? So it doesn't like mental me.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you. Now we've been talking about this. How do you correct this engine that's not running correctly? What are some of the things that you have learned over your course of time? Like, okay, I need to make the adjustments here because life is never, you know, everyone's going to say you have to be in perfect harmony in life. Life is never in harmony.
Exercise, movement, doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to go to a gym, guys. I mean, a friend of mine never went to prison, so I don't know where he came up with this term, but he used to be on the road all the time and living on the road, and he'd work a job here in this town for 3 or 4 days, and then go to another town, work another job, and he called it his prison workout. He just had this big piece of steel pipe, and he would lift it, and he would press it, and he would roll on it, and he would throw it just like you would, a medicine ball or whatever. He would do all those things, and he called it his prison workout. You don't have to have all the best weights and all the cool stuff. I mean, come to our wellness center, sure, that's awesome,
Yeah.
but you don't have to have that to get that exercise, to get that energy, that stamina built up. So you need to first take care of yourself. You need to eat right. You got to put good fuel in the tank, right? We all, anybody who's been on this earth longer than about 15 minutes is probably, stopped by the gas station and got bad fuel, and their car didn't run right for a while or something like that. And that's exactly the same thing that happens with this.
Yeah.
Is you got to put fuel in the tank.
Yeah.
And then mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you got to fuel the tank. So, I have daily affirmations. I have a daily I am. I pray for my kids. I pray for my wife. Sometimes I need to pray for myself. I try not to just focus on me. I give to others, and that refuels me.
Right.
My love language is acts of kindness, right? To me and for me. So my love language is to give acts of kindness to others.
Yeah.
And have others do the same to me.
Yeah, I think that's it's big important is you cannot be your best you if your tank is empty on the time, and I know there's going to be times to have it. So these are just so what Brent and I are talking about really is just friendly reminders of like, hey, sometimes we got to go back and look at the mirror, right? We have to do a diagnostic check on us is go around and sometimes your mechanic is going to be your wife, sometimes your mechanic is going to be your friend, sometimes it's going to be your business partner, sometimes it's going to be an employee, sometimes it's going to be whoever. And when I say mechanic is you go to them and like, listen, I feel like I'm not running efficiently. What are some of the things that you're seeing in me that where it's affecting how my engine's running or my tank is empty? And be open to that. We've talked about that with Gigi Matako a while back, and there's different things. And we bring up the Ednas and then the Caitlins that you go back in there. Another great way to rejuvenate the body and restore that and some things. So, that's why I said we put on what we're talking about today is really how we started this conversation of a podcast a year and a half ago, and it's come to fruition now to 58 episodes. It's like these are the things that are typically not talked about right now, especially on social media, that we have that check engine light is going to come on, and it's going to come on a lot. And there's no rainbows and butterflies. There's really good days that you're cruising at 150 miles an hour and the wind's behind you and you're getting 80 miles a gallon, whatever it may be. And there's other days that you're going to be in the headwind and you're going 10 miles an hour and you have one wheel. So those are the times that you have to come back to these episodes, reach into this, find some stuff to us, know that you have resources with Brent and I for sure.
Yeah.
We have the Ken Johnsons, we have the Ken McCumbers, the Caitlins, the Ednas, the Gigi Matacos, the Sean LaRue's. There's all these guys that you can go back and look at these episodes that are willing to help you out and let them be your mechanics, your coaches, your sports therapist, whatever you want to call it, whatever analogy that we can come up with today. But don't rely on yourself to self-correct your inability to get out of your rut, because it's just, that is the problem that we're having. Unfortunately, I want to go back to this, and I know I'm a little bit of a soapbox today, but we talked about this a year ago when we were in June, but last month was men's health awareness, right? How bad suicide is. We went through all that and all these different things. So men, women, kids, whoever are going to be watching this episode, make sure that the people surrounding you, that you can go to them and let them know when that tank is getting empty and that you cannot find fuel to fill that back up, because we need you. You're an important piece of this amazing puzzle that we call Earth. And then while you're out here, is that, everyone has a purpose, regardless if you're not finding it or you lost your purpose. You have that purpose, and you need to let that light that has been instilled in each and every one of us to shine. So,
and reach out to us. We'd be happy to chat with you about it. Have you on here, if even nameless and faceless, if you want.
Yeah. So what we talked about last week, and I don't know if you have one readily available, we have some pretty cool apparel.
Mm-hmm. I do.
You do? Okay. So this is what I'm going to put out to you guys. And we talked about this last week a little bit. So we got these great hats. We got some great T-shirts. What I want you to do this week is when we have this, we're obviously on Spotify. We're obviously on YouTube. Obviously going to be on Instagram.
Facebook.
Is leave us a comment in either Spotify or YouTube of what you do to refuel your tank or get it back up to, at least 3/4 full. Sometimes it's just never going to be full, but tell us what you're doing. And if you don't have one of those right now, let us know, again, either on our Spotify channel or our YouTube channel, where you're struggling and how we can assist you to get you either through us or through the appropriate people to help you fill that tank back up. And then once you leave that, we will respond to you. We'll respond to you offline, get your address, and we'll send you out a hat. And we want you to be an old guy still rock. And I jokingly say this, we're gender neutral.
Yeah. Well, and Rachel said it when I gave her T-shirt. She's like, "What? I'm not an old guy." And I'm like, I said, "I'm not going to say it." She's like, "What? I'm an old gal?" And I'm like, "Nope, I'm not going to say it." I said, "You're just a welcome part of our growth and prosperity, and we appreciate you serving us and listening every week." Rachel and Nick Cotta, they were in town this week, and we got some good photos of them in their OGSR gear and in the wellness center, and got a chance to work out with them and hang out with them. And I'm gonna go into about 1 minute into Rogan right here, Joe Rogan time, and just share with you. So had dinner with them the other night, and I kind of took them by surprise. I said, "I need you guys to think about this and then get me some feedback. Is there anything that you think that I need to do to grow and prosper into the next phase of my life? I need you to be very direct with me, and I need you to give me your honest feedback about things that I need to do to grow." And it took them back a little bit. And we talked about that last night. And one of the things that Nick brought up was me having a little bit more patience at the end of my day with my kids. So this conversation has just gone full circle.
Yeah, right. It's a hard pill to swallow sometimes too, brother.
It is. It is.
It's not fun to be corrected, especially if you're a A-type personality, especially to be an entrepreneur. It's hard to be wrong sometimes, but it's also okay to be wrong sometimes.
Yeah. Yep. So I'll be working on that. and
Yeah.
he'll be holding me accountable. So
Good.
pretty jazzed.
Good. Well, I'm glad that they got to spend some time today, or some time with you last couple days, and they're still here, right?
They're leaving today. Yep.
Okay, so some special time with them. But anyway,
All while they had a hurricane go through their property and beat up their cars and their house and all kinds of stuff while they're gone. Their house is on electricity. Nick's dad's living there on a generator, all that fun stuff. So,
wow, what part of
yeah,
the world are they in?
they're from Angleton, Texas.
Okay,
Yep.
I hear a motorcycle.
That's our compressor. We got a sticking valve in their compressor.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Anyway, final thoughts for you, my dude.
Just go make a damn difference. Fill that tank and then empty it.
All right, guys. Thank you for sticking with us. As I said, if you like this episode, feel free to, if you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button. I know we talked about this at the beginning of the episodes, but hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't done so yet, if you have subscribed but haven't hit that notification bell, hit that notification bell so when we do put out new episodes, it comes out right away. Remember our contest this week. It's not really a contest. It's a giveaway.
Yeah.
We can have multiple people do this. We're okay with that. So how you fill your tank, your personal, your tank of wisdom, whatever it's going to be, your wellness tank, I guess. How do you fill that tank when things are getting low? And if you're struggling to find it, how can we assist you? One of those comments, leave us on there. We'll respond back to you, and then we'll also send you out some cool apparel, and you can share your story. You can be a part of the light of Old Guys Still Rock. So until we see each other next week, have a great, great week, and we will see you soon, guys. Thank you for your support. We love you. Stay safe, but most of all, God bless. We'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.